Good afternoon, Tackle Traders, and hello, YouTube. This is Frank coming to you with the market recap for August 29th, hanging out on a Wednesday. And what a glorious Wednesday if you are a bull. Another strong showing in the market. Breakout continues. Things that were hot kind of continue to be hot. So very nice, exciting, yet kind of the day you want, right? Just an extension of yesterday. Always your favorite day as a trader, at least for me. You know, do what you were doing already. So let's go ahead and get kicked off. Before we do, just a quick look ahead to our earnings coming out. We have Salesforce coming out after the close today, as well as PVH Corp. And then we also have a few coming out tomorrow morning before the open. We got Dollar Tree, we got Dollar General, and we got Campbell's Soup. So for non-earnings season, 5 companies is a pretty big number. So of course, keep an eye on that, see what kind of movement we get. Obviously, if you have any trades going on with any of those, make sure you've taken that into consideration. With that said, let's take a look at these indexes. S&P continues to fly. That breakout is real. Definitely seeing some upward, more upward movement. Took a little bit of a breather yesterday, but it was just that. Breakout still very much intact. Getting another all-time high, closing pretty close to the high of today's candle over in the S&P as well. So breakout very much alive and kicking as over in the S&P. NASDAQ, same song, same dance, good times. Breakout very, very strong as we continue to push new highs over in the NASDAQ as well. The Dow Jones didn't have a bad day. It just wasn't as nice as the S&P and the NASDAQ when you compare them. But we did push up a little bit more. Again, now Dow Jones is the one index that we still have that overhead resistance. We're still a ways away from it, but that is something that hopefully we get there and we're able to challenge that. I would certainly love to see that. So another fine day in the Dow Jones. Russell continues to build off of its breakout momentum as well. Not a whole lot to say other than it's a good time to be a bull. All of our indexes having broken out, all of our indexes continuing to push upward as we would expect on a breakout. So very, very good stuff. That is for sure. So that's where we find ourselves in our indexes. Some interesting activity over in the sectors here today. We'll start off with our old friend, the material sector. It continues to hold that breakout. So we broke out on Monday. We kind of had a day yesterday where we started up, pulled back before it was all said and done, closing on that old resistance level, dipped down briefly today before really rallying off of it. So now we have 3 days in a row closing above that resistance level. Certainly, bullish sentiment going on right here. It's not my favorite sector right now, but 3 closes above resistance is really hard to argue is not a bullish signal. So certainly a pretty strong day over there. Energy was up today, but it really didn't feel like it to me. We're still continuing to dance around that 50-day moving average on the energy ETF. I'm going to keep the same opinion I've had for the last little while. I can see an argument for both sides. I say that there's stronger things out there. There's more clear signals out there. I'm leaving energy alone. We continue to fight, though, at that resistance level. Maybe we'll be able to push through that 50. Maybe it'll knock us down. I'm going to let that play out before I develop too much of an opinion right now. I'm certainly in a neutral position when it comes to the energy sector. Financials, kind of a blah day, but did kind of hold their breakout. They kind of just, dipped down, rallied, closed really, really flat. The breakout is still intact, though, so nothing wrong from a technical point of view with what it did, just not nearly as much right as maybe we would like to see with it. Same really situation going on with our industrials. Obviously, they didn't pull back to the breakout point like we saw in the financials, but really kind of a flat day over in the industrials. And no real surprise as we kind of saw that Dow chart was kind of the weakest, relatively speaking, certainly not weak, but certainly was not maybe the strongest sector. So really kind of the status quo over in the industrials. Of course, tech continues to perform very well, very strong performer over in the tech sector here today. Gotta love what you see there. Certainly seeing some stocks break out. I think Microsoft broke out today. to name one stock in the tech sector that actually broke today. Very strong activity going on in NASDAQ and tech right now. No two ways about that. Our staples continue to hang around. I don't think we've had any reason to believe that the pullback is done yet, but we've really flattened out really over the last week. You know, we've seen a little bit of movement on the day-to-day, but really for the most part, we've just seen it hanging around. Still need to see some upward movement before we can consider that pullback, you know, a potential entry opportunity, in my opinion, at least. But still looking at it from, you know, a bigger picture, that point of view, I just don't think it's quite there just yet. Taking a look at our staples, maybe. Our utilities, I'm sorry. Going into our utility sector, they definitely had a nice little rally today, looking to try to confirm that recent pullback to the breakout point. If we can get some upward movement tomorrow, I would call that a confirmation candle. Whether or not I'm going to trade it, you know, I'll have to decide if that's the best option for me, but we've kind of been hanging around, testing that breakout point pretty regularly, pretty strong momentum in today's candle. I do think you need some more upward movement, but I don't think you need a ton. At least, you know, I should say. I don't know what you need. I guess that's for you to decide. But for me, I would at least need to see this break today's high tomorrow before I was ready to, you know, really consider a potential trading opportunity over in the utility sector. But do have to like the placement on that right now. That's for sure. Taking a look at our friends in the healthcare sector, same story as it just seems to always be, another really hot day over there. Healthcare has been my favorite sector for quite some time and continues to be so after days like this. So certainly very good stuff going on over in the healthcare sector. Discretionary, another strong performer today, continuing its breakout. It's kind of been leading the break, you know, from a sector point of view of, you know, this little recent breakout stretch that we've been having. But certainly very nice movement going on over there. Gotta like what you see if you're a bull and played into that breakout over in the discretionary sector last week. Real estate, one of those guys that just wasn't able to keep that momentum. They, of course, had a very strong day yesterday, are struggling with resistance. We've looked at this before. That previous swing high lines up with some longer term resistance. And so that definitely is a battle that we'll definitely want to keep an eye on. I think if we can break through that, you know, we can definitely, I would consider that a breakout if that were to be the case, because there's not really a lot of overhead past this point until our high points. And so certainly if we struggle, that would make sense. If we break, that would certainly be, to me at least, a confirmation that this trend has more in store for us. But let's continue to monitor how we handle that resistance level, because we know that it is, you know, certainly a real level of resistance. That's for sure. Taking a look at our commodities, let's go ahead and get down into our commodities. We'll start with the dollar. Before we do,
hey Frank, real quick, check the chat for me.
Yeah, I did, Cody. I got you. So, and Cody's joining us today. Glad to see that. And yeah, I got you loud and clear, Cody. Looking at our dollar, again, the weakness is real. You know, we had that pullback opportunity. We broke support. Again, I'm not going to call this bearish, but I'm going to call it, I'm not doing anything or looking to do anything until we get a little better handle on it. It's just, again, we can be picky as traders. We don't have to trade everything every moment, right? And if it's, when you see nice things like clean breakouts in tech and discretionary and, you know, long upward trends in healthcare, why try to pick, you know, the tough ones, right? So at least for me, this one is tough. We're back in that range. We're seeing bearish signals. Overall, we do have some bullish longer term strength. I'm just going to let that one play out. Taking a look at our metals, again, we're continuing to fight. We know how big of a deal this resistance is. Until we decide one way or another, are we going to break it? Or are we going to get knocked down from it? I don't think you mess with it personally. I know I'm not. I do know, though, some traders that are short. I have went ahead and played into that, and I certainly understand that perspective. If you are a bear, I still would feel very uncomfortable being a bull on a downward trend like this. I don't need to catch the bottom. If this hypothetically is the bottom, then good for the people who caught it. I'll get some stronger buy signals before I'm willing to jump on board. But do continue to monitor that resistance. Obviously, that is a big deal, continues to be so. Really same situation going on over in silver as well. So be aware of that resistance level. Lastly, taking a quick look at natural gas, finally caught our footing, saw a little bit of upward movement, closed kind of at the bottom or the top of that old trading range. Let's watch, see if we can carry that momentum going forward. I do think we need a little bit more before we be too excited, at least if you're me. And then lastly, taking a look at crude, was able to push finally through that 50-day moving average today, getting closer and closer to that 70 range. It's been resistant, so do keep an eye on that. That price has been very important. Let's see how we respond when we get there. We're pretty darn close. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was the market recap for today. As always, it is certainly my pleasure, and I do appreciate everybody's time. If you haven't already, go ahead and head on over to the Tackle Trading YouTube channel and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be alerted anytime we have new videos going. If you enjoyed the market recap, it is always helpful and appreciated if you do give it a thumbs up to let us know we're on the right track over here. With that, get out of here. Happy trading, and I will see you in the next one.
Frankie, just go ahead next, Ping.
Cool. See you, Cody.